The Pegasus Plus is technically a new model from Nike, but it is a successor of the Pegasus Turbo. So is this shoe a real Pegasus Turbo next gen, and is it worth the price? Let's go ahead and find out in this review, but a quick disclaimer that Nike did send me the shoes to review, but all my thoughts and opinions are my own. Let's dive in. Let's start with the upper. The Pegasus Plus uses a Flyknit mesh upper material that is more similar to a traditional mesh upper than it is to their typical Flyknit uppers, but it does have some of those knitted elements to add additional structure. While running in the shoe on hot days, I did find it to be a bit warm as it wasn't the most breathable, and I found that the ankle collar and tongue had just the right amount of padding, and the fit was definitely true to size. I had no bunching, rubbing, or anything like that. Now let's talk about this midsole. The midsole is made up of 100% ZoomX foam. It has a stack height of 30mm in the heel and 24 in the forefoot, giving it a 10mm heel-to-toe drop. There are no plates or carrier foams or anything, just ZoomX. However, I found that the formula feels quite different from the racing models. The Alphafly and Vaporfly feel a lot lighter and bouncier, while I found this formula to be a bit firmer / denser. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, as I found this formula to be a bit more durable than the racing models, and without a plate, the denser foam makes it feel more responsive. For the ride overall, I thought it was responsive, but also a little dull. So for me personally, when I hear ZoomX, I think of something that's light and bouncy. You're going to be able to compress it and get a nice bounce back. And I got a little bit of that with this formula, but unfortunately not the same as like you'd find in the racing model. So that might sound disappointing, but I did find that they were a great everyday trainer and good for picking up the pace. But we'll talk more about that in the brown type section. First, let's talk about this outsole. It's a waffle design covering the heel and forefoot and utilizes high abrasion rubber. This rubber has been very durable and fairly grippy so far, and fortunately doesn't add too much weight considering the shoe comes in at 8.4 ounces in a size 9. I have 50 miles on it, and I'm surprisingly seeing like no wear on this outsole at all. I will say though that the rubber can make the shoe sound a bit loud when running. Now we're going to go over the run type stoplight portion of the review, where I go over speed day, everyday, long run day, and recovery day. For speed day, I give this a green. The lightweight, that low profile, and that ZoomX does give it a nice responsive feel when you're picking up the pace. You can handle workouts nicely. Definitely doesn't have that same pop as you would with a plated shoe, but I personally enjoy doing workouts in it. For everyday runs, I give this a green as well. This comfortable upper kept me locked in on longer runs, and this really durable outsole can take a beating, and good for those kind of moderate to medium everyday runs. For long run, I'm personally giving this a yellow. For me personally, I like a lot of protection on my long runs, and I just didn't find that there was enough underfoot here, especially in the forefoot. It was feeling very thin, and I could feel the ground underneath me, and in a long run, I want something that's just pure plush underneath and helps save my legs and feet a little bit. For recovery days, I give this a yellow. Again, this is a personal preference for me. When I'm taking it nice and slow and easy, I prefer a shoe that has more of a rocker that will kind of help me through my stride, do a little bit of the work for me, and again, just more cushioning underfoot that's going to be soft and plush. Right now, I'm going to do a few comparisons to the Peg Plus, and the first shoe is the OG Pegasus Turbo. So the design of the shoe has a lot of nods to the OG Peg with that racing stripe on the forefoot. It even says Pegasus Turbo on the outsole, and the original name of the shoe was actually Pegasus Turbo 4, with the 3 being the Pegasus nature. So they are very different shoes. This one has more stack underfoot. This one seems very thin compared to today's standards, and the original one used React as a bottom layer with a ZoomX top layer and core, and they both share a lot of similarities in their run types. They're both very versatile up-tempo trainers that can both pick up the pace. Despite the Peg Plus having more foam underneath it, I do miss that kind of more energetic ride that I found on the original Pegasus Turbo. It just felt a little bouncier to me than this one, even though it is 100% ZoomX and has more foam underneath it. And again, I feel like this has to do with this specific ZoomX formula, but I would just love if we could kind of get a plateless Vaporfly with a training-oriented upper, essentially. Next up is the Nike Streakfly. So this is their 5K, 10K racing flat. It uses 100% ZoomX foam with a nylon midfoot shank. And this shoe is very light and fast and fun. And honestly, I would say that this is the closest thing to the original Pegasus Turbo that we have today. And I actually enjoy using this shoe more for kind of up-tempo training runs than I do for actual race day. So comparing it to the Peg Plus, I feel like they do have some overlap in their run types. Like I said, this one's intended to be a racer, but I actually enjoy it for more everyday up-tempo paces, while the Peg Plus is more of an everyday trainer, but can definitely handle those paces as well. Again, though, the ZoomX formulas on these two shoes feel very different. This one feels a lot lighter and bouncier and kind of what you would expect from ZoomX, while this one doesn't quite have that same feel. So another lightweight up-tempo trainer that I've been running in this year is the Mach 6 from Hoka. It has a little extra cushioning to it than the Pegasus Plus, and I actually thought that the foam felt a little livelier too. Plus, it does come in $40 cheaper, which doesn't hurt. The fit does feel a little bit snug on this shoe though, which is something to consider. So I've been liking this shoe as an everyday trainer that can pick up the pace. However, I think that if Nike kind of gave it a lower drop and gave it more stack, especially in the forefoot, and then they used that same ZoomX formula that they have in the racing shoes, that this would be an amazing option. And at $180, I do think it's a bit overpriced for what you're getting, especially when the competition has shoes like the Adizero Evo SL, which has their flagship foam in the midsole, and that comes in at $150. That being said, if you do find this shoe on sale, I think I've seen some colorways go for like $100 to $120. I think that makes this shoe way more worth it for the versatility you're getting for a nice workhorse that can also handle picking up the pace. So I want to hear from you. Have you tried the Peg Plus? Do you plan on picking one up? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, thanks for watching and keep on running.